Hey everyone, welcome to the podcast Modern Couples, What Your Therapist Never Told You. My name is Rick Miller,
I'm Lilian Borges.
and we're both therapists who love working with couples. Today's episode is signs that your partner is cheating and what you should do about it. This is a biggie.
Yes, it is a big one. It comes up every once in a while. People come to me and ask me what they should do about they partners has a suspicion that their partner is cheating. What should they do? But it's interesting in the office, that problem appears all the time. Whether a partner is cheating or not, there is always one that thinks that the other is cheating.
I did a little research on it.
Okay, let's hear it.
Okay, 20% of now this is married couples. 20% of married men report cheating. 13% of married women report cheating. And 20% of marriages are affected by infidelity. So here's how I make sense of this. This is a low number based on self-reporting because how many people, when asked if they've ever cheated, would feel comfortable admitting it?
Yes, and also I think that if you ask other couples that live together and all, they might also report something different.
Well, it did say that 40% of non-married couples are affected by infidelity. So
Ooh.
those numbers are higher. But again, you got to take it with a grain of salt about who's reporting what and what is infidelity. We're using the word cheating. Infidelity has been used in our field these days. It's a softer, kind of more gentle term. I don't know if you have feelings about either word or how you use it in your own work.
Well, cheating is whatever the couple decide it is. I've seen couple in my office that one partner felt cheated by, the partner using porn. So cheating is whatever you say that you're going to do and you don't, then you're cheating. But when we talk about having another relationship, whether it is emotional, whether it is romantic or sexual. I think that that's what we are talking about here today.
I made a list of signs that come up frequently in my office from my clients, and I also thought about how frequently this issue comes up with couples that I work with. Sometimes it's individuals coming to see me because they're the one who's cheating and they don't know what to do about it. Sometimes it's a suspicion that their partner is cheating on them. This is something that we all know, but things that I thought about were one spouse is coming home later, their schedule has been rearranged, their work demands are such that they're pulled away from home way more than it used to be. They themselves have pulled away from the relationship, perhaps on an intimate level or a time level or a tolerance level. Frequently, these partners are more vague with their spouses about life, what they're doing, what they're not doing. It's like they're two independent people living separate lives under one roof. And then, of course, a change in their digital behavior, such as frequent texting, hiding the phone, late night emails, changing passwords on their computers, all sorts of things. So those are just some of the things that I came up with.
Sometimes the partner is not suspicious and it comes up in a session anyway. I remember a couple who were talking to each other, and I asked them to actually look as they're talking about the changes that you're just describing. The changes that you're just describing, they were just more disconnected. They were not talking as much. His schedule were changing, and the partner just didn't understand why, but there was no suspicion. And I asked them to talk to each other, and she was asking him about what was going on and that they were just more disconnected. And then and she said, "Are you cheating on me?"
Oh, really? Wow.
And then he hesitated for 30 seconds.
Wow.
That was the giveaway. And he denied it, and everybody, laughed. And I didn't see them for a while. She came back by herself saying, after our last session, I put a private investigator on him and I found out that he was having an affair. I was just like, okay, that's one way to handle that. I don't know. So, but yeah, so sometimes how you talk to your partner and you ask a question and the pitch of their voice goes a little higher.
Or the dart of eye contact.
Yeah, so they avoid eye contact or they get defensive or they don't answer the question. And so some things like that in the nonverbal or how secretive they are, those things give it away that there is something not right here.
I agree. Had you been working with this couple for a while, or was it a new case?
This is a couple that I saw last year. Yes.
I'm just curious if it was the first session or after a series of sessions.
So actually, there was like a third or fourth session.
And had you suspected anything beforehand, or were you taken by surprise?
No, I didn't. He was just very quiet person. And it was one of those people that you have to keep digging. He would not give it as much. They were a kind of couple that were married for more than 30 years and he, suffered depression. So I thought that that was related to that. And wife was thinking that was related to that. I didn't pick his silence for I do not want giveaway.
And I'm guessing that she unconsciously may have suspected that he may have been cheating and didn't allow herself to fully process it until she was in the office with you. And then maybe having you there or having a third party witnessing what was happening, she had the bravery to ask the question. I'm also assuming that you probably suspected something with that long pause.
I did not. I did not tell the truth. And I think that was the face to face. When you put a couple or anyone face to face with them, they were married for so long and they would not talk much. They would just go through the motions. And there was a very busy time for them. I think that putting them face to face and talking and her seeing, he couldn't really do the usual things that he did. But I have another couple whose wife is as faithful as she can be. And her husband is just call her cheater and all the time. You're cheating bastard, you're cheating liar, you're cheating, and keeps accusing her very consistently. And what do you think about that when someone thinks that the other is cheating when they're not?
Well, what I wonder about in a situation like this is whether he comes from a family where cheating was the norm and that he hasn't done the work to differentiate himself from his experiences, whether he is the kind of man that is married to a woman who may have her own identity or strength of her own and doesn't want her to, or if he has an attachment style that's disorganized in a way that any rupture that could be related to anything becomes pinned with cheating. What do you think?
What I think is a few things goes on in situations like that. Some people with anxious attachment has the tendency to blame and use words in that way to provoke the other person to get a reaction. So they could definitely be an attachment style. It doesn't work for them, but they could do that. Also, I think he works in a field that brings suspicion of other people, that works on his favor, that he keeps that, I don't completely trust you. So he brings that to the table. But that mentality of, I don't trust you until you prove to me that I can trust you, that is a game that doesn't go well in intimate relationships.
Yeah, that's a pretty challenging, unhealthy dynamic. And if I were the spouse of someone like that, I think I'd be at my wit's end. I'd be angry. I'd be defensive. and it would be hard to let go of that.
Yeah. And I think also the dynamic had changed since one of them had retired and has more time, and the other partner is not retired, doesn't have as much time. So that also plays a role in that conflict.
I also just wanted to comment that some of the things that we're talking about definitely are signs of infidelity, but these same things happen for any number of reasons within couple relationships. So if you're listening to this episode and you identify with some of these things, it doesn't mean that your spouse is cheating necessarily. And it's worthy of having a conversation about what you're experiencing and what you're feeling. And hiring a detective wouldn't be my suggestion of dealing with it. Having a conversation would be my suggestion.
Or following him around like a client that I had following the husband or the wife around to see what they're up to. That just reinforces their mentality and the mistrust in the relationship. The mentality that I cannot trust you and the anxiety that comes with it. And we don't want to reinforce that in a relationship.
Well, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
So, but the thing is, those signs are not necessarily signs of cheating, but wouldn't they be a sign that something is wrong?
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
Wouldn't it be a sign if you're feeling that something is off, that your partner's schedule change or your partner is more secretive or the way when you ask something, the pitch of their voice change? Isn't it a sign that something is not quite right? And the right thing to do would be what's happening. I feel that we have not been as connected or as transparent. Is something wrong? What's going on? And bringing it up with the partner, you're feeling that something is not quite right, and talk about it.
I totally agree. I also suspect that in a lot of cases where a partner is cheating, that they don't want to hurt their partner. And as a result, they aren't honest with their partner, which can be felt either consciously or unconsciously by the partner who's feeling insecure and asking questions anyways. I worked with a couple last year, and the wife knew that he had been cheating on her on a number of occasions because she had done her research, and he was caught, and he was still being vague, and she felt gaslit by his answers, and he wanted to protect her, which made my job really difficult.
Yes. Yes. I think that one of the things that hurts the most when there is a betrayal or cheating is the gaslighting. It is the lying. It is the going through someone's back. That is what chatters trust in a relationship. The base of the relationship just breaks. And how to bring that up.
I love the word you just used, betrayal, that if you go away from the cheating as in, is he or is she, or are they not cheating? I feel betrayed is the place to start within the couple to identify how it is, why it is, and figure out what's changed in the relationship. What I should have explored, and I didn't, was a statistic about how many partners lie about cheating when they've been confronted by their partners. I would guess that a large number of people do out of self protection for their partners or self protection for themselves or some combination of both. What do you think?
I think it's so hard to say I did something wrong. Right? There's the shame of the person who did it, who doesn't want to share that. The fear of what would happen if they did. And some people want to have a cake and eat it too. So I think it is self-damaging. So they want to prevent that and damaging for the relationship as well. We usually would say the partner knows when the other one is cheating, they refuse. Do you think that it is true that a partner really knows and they are just refusing to see?
I mean, I think that's a great question. I don't feel 100% qualified to answer it. I would guess in certain instances a partner does know, in other instances a partner has no idea. And in many instances, a partner doesn't want to know. I mean, I've worked with so many people that have described feeling a shift, knowing that something has changed. And if you ask if they think their spouse is cheating, they literally say, I don't want to know because it threatens the homeostasis of their household or their own internal organization as an individual, and they don't want to have to deal with it. So I suspect that many partners do, many partners don't. If in an independent relationship where both spouses do a lot of traveling or they're not particularly close or connected, it's probably harder to know.
Yeah, I'm thinking about that, and I've heard many partners saying that if my partner's cheating, I prefer not to know.
So much for our jobs.
What I don't know what won't hurt me. I've been in situations in a relationship, was not married or but it was an exclusive relationship that the partner was banksing me, meaning they were not in it. They were planning to get out. But when I asked if there is something wrong, they would say nothing wrong. They were making plans about the future with me. And all along, when I look back, they made that decision many months beforehand. So I think that there are sometimes some partners who do not want to see it. But I think that there is also partners who are extremely conflict avoidant. They come from this mentality of one person's system. I have to protect myself. I want to avoid this conflict. So I'm just going to go along and gaslight as much as I can my way out of this. And that is such a coward move.
Well, yeah, and then if there's kids involved, what are they picking up on in terms of what's happening in the couple? For example, are the partners in the couple sleeping in separate bedrooms? Is one of them coming home late at all hours or leaving early in the morning? And are the kids either neglected by the partner or parent that's cheating or feeling something odd? And how does that feel as a parent on either end? If you're the one that's cheating or unfaithful, or if you're the one that suspects something's going on with your partner, it's a tough bind.
It is a tough bind. But I think that as I say this, the mentality of one person's system, that I'm self protective, I'm only thinking about myself, making decisions for myself. In conflicts, I just avoid the conflict. I don't want to deal with this, don't want to deal with you when you are in a bad shape or when you're not in your best. Going after you when I should be more cooperative or more collaborative. This is a system, this is a culture that doesn't foster secure attachment. It doesn't foster the right behaviors, the right feelings, your best in a relationship.
Well, and I keep thinking about the term gaslighting as you're describing this because you're making your spouse believe that what they are experiencing isn't true
Yes.
and denying their reality. And that's dangerous.
Yeah. So these are cues also, or clues that your partner might not be cheating, but things are not quite right and might bring distance, which in the future might bring a breakup or cheating.
I wanted to speak a little bit about a judgment, a societal judgment about cheating, about infidelity. And we are taught that monogamous relationships should be the way that it is, and that when someone is unfaithful with their partner, we cast them, our society casts them as an evil person, and we give them all of the blame. And we look at the person that's been cheated on as the victim. And some therapists do this, family members, friends. It's very easy to victimize the person that's the vulnerable one and pathologize the one that's cheated. Nowadays, I think there's more information out there that people are unfaithful for a variety of reasons. And sometimes it's about their relationship, And sometimes it may be about something completely different, including their culture, their family history, their work experience and feeling powerless or feeling bored in a long-term relationship. I mean, I could go on and on about examples, and I think the field historically has been so attuned about what to do that no one until recently has really looked at why people are unfaithful. And sometimes understanding that from a position of empathy will help the person that's actually cheating on their partner to identify what's really going on for them.
Yeah, empathy must happen for both of them. And we understand that the person who discovers the cheating or the betrayal might feel a lot of feelings, and we need to support that. Is feeling victimized by that, and we need to support that. And sometimes they are. But I like that idea that let's understand what happened. Is this something individual? This is something that comes from the dynamic of the relationship. I used to think when I was younger that my partner cheated on me, or even if I saw that in my office, that would not be possible to come back from. Since then, many years ago, I had changed and evolved, and seeing that couples can talk about the cheating, even when that happens. Partners who were cheated on, if you will, they don't like that, but cannot come up with anything better right now, are able to talk about it without being victims or feeling victimized by that, and coming from a place of curiosity and understanding that that is not something that they did to them, not taking that personally, and being able to talk about that and figure out how to move from that and having a better relationship without thinking, okay, I'm out here.
I totally agree. I think that's a stance that is a challenging stance for many people. And as a psychotherapist, as a couples therapist, it does take some time and experience to get there. And I used to be that way too, even though I dealt with a lot of couples who were cheating. And I instead developed a style of normalization when couples come see me saying that this happens a lot. You're not the only couple that this has happened to. And I give examples of other couples and what they've done and what we've talked about and why it happens. And it's very reassuring to people. And I've worked with many couples who have gotten beyond it and their relationship has become way stronger as a result. But also, I've worked with other couples where the truth has come out and they've broken up. So it all depends on the strength of a couple and the work that we do and the work that they do with each other. But I have learned that normalizing this is a key to good couples therapy when it happens because it's a lonely, lonely place to be for each partner.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So, what should we say or tell our listeners? What to do? What advice do we give them? What to do if they think their partner is cheating on them?
Of course, I want to come up with a sharp answer and say, hire a detective. But that is not what I would recommend at all. One thing that I would do is really honor what you're feeling, honor your own intuition. And rather than hiring the detective or following your spouse or catching them, really be attentive to the vulnerabilities and the insecurities and the changes that you're noticing and find a gentle yet assertive way to approach your spouse about what you're noticing and how it feels and hold your own. Because if you have a partner that can be a little gaslighty at times and you bring this thing up, they're going to deny it. So, my suggestion would be in a dispassionate, assertive way, speak about what you're experiencing, comment that you're not exactly sure why you're experiencing this, but you have noticed these changes and ask them to speak about it.
I like the idea of reflecting on the evidence, if you will. Reflect on why, what's happening, why you're thinking about that, instead of just going directly to the assumptions and making accusations. Reflect on that first. Take a hard look about yourself and the relationship. What is happening? What are the things that you think that are great in your relationship, things that you're not as great? How connected you are, how transparent and open you are. And then with that, communicate openly about your self reflection, about what you see about your relationship, where you are in your relationship. And you're asking openly where they are. And also saying, I see you. I see that you are different. I see that you're different in this and that situation. I am different too, and here and there. Who do we want to be? Is that what we want to be? What does this mean? What does it mean for us? Sometimes it means that there is a bigger problem that needs help for individual or couples. Maybe the couple is not having as much sex. Something else is going on that that is not going well. So it needs to be addressed. Bring the differences, the things that you're seeing in a non accusatory way.
Yeah. That's hard to do, but I totally agree.
Yes. And bring evidence. If you feel that you might be gaslighted, bring evidence. And saying, well, you might say this, but this happened at this and this date.
I have a couple things what not to do, which won't surprise you coming from me because I mentioned this in other episodes and you could probably guess what I'm going to say. Avoid the temptation to snoop and catch your partner. It may be gratifying for you to find out that you're right, but how is that going to fix the relationship? And so, again, we're talking about bringing up the vulnerabilities and being assertive and being level headed about it instead of catching them. The other thing is if it seems to be happening or is happening, please don't do the angry texting thing throughout the day. I have so many couples, they spend hours and hours and hours texting in a fury and a rage while they should be doing other things and they don't talk to each other at nighttime. All of the argument is done via text. Where does it get you?
Because that is avoidance, right? Just doing that on text messages is avoiding coming home face to face and face those difficult moments, face those difficult questions. We don't want to do that.
And then there's therapy, what to do. You know, people have a choice of going into individual therapy to help sort out what they're experiencing, to establish a plan if they think their partner's cheating, how to bring it up to their partners, how to be assertive and remain calm. And then, of course, there's couples therapy to address the question, which is how many couples end up in our offices, or at least speaking for myself in my office. Experiencing infidelity in a relationship doesn't mean that the relationship will end or needs to end. That's my opinion.
Yes, 100. I agree with you. Not everybody does, but I agree with you. Yeah.
It doesn't need to be the end. For couples that decide to work on the relationship and stay, I think they need to reestablish routines of being close and communicative and spending time together. I absolutely would suggest couples work for this very purpose to learn to hear each other out, to speak about vulnerabilities in a different way, to discuss what's shifted in your relationship, and that the person that has been unfaithful gets to be questioned by their spouse about why, what, when, what purpose it served, and that it's probably going to be a number of conversations. It's not going to be a one time conversation where it's done, where frequently the person that's cheated wants it to be that way because they don't want to be vulnerable or they don't want their partner to be angry. But guess what? It doesn't work that way.
No, it takes a while. It's not going to be one or two sit downs or or two couples therapy sessions that will fix the cheating or the betrayal that happened. Unless the other person also is cheating, they will be angry and hurt. If they are not, it's because it happens. Because that's always on the back of my mind when the other partner doesn't get angry or sad or it has doesn't have any reaction, I go like, hmm, what's
Right.
this?
Yeah, what's this about? I also wanted to speak about couples that decide to end their relationship, and also do couples therapy then. I work with a lot of couples who are consciously deciding to end their relationship, and they're coming to my office not to stay together, but to get some guidance about dissolving the relationship, the household, dealing with children, what messages to give family, friends, and community, to treat each other with respect, to own the fact that they did the very best that they could, and it's okay that they're choosing to separate, and to be loyal to each other in the breakup. Because frequently when couples are separating, they wanna trash their partner because it feels good, but it frequently makes everything a lot more complicated.
I'm having more and more couples coming to me to have a fair divorce. Actually, I had two or three couples who came to me after a betrayal. And of course, the betrayal happened after a long history of them not being fair with each other, having conflicts that escalated. You see that they needed couples therapy then, but they didn't look for couples therapy.
Yeah, that's my line. I frequently say you should have come to me 6 years earlier and you wouldn't be in this spot.
Exactly. But they decide. They decide to come in to have a separation. Sometimes they start with the separation and then decide for the divorce and they want to do it in a different way that doesn't damage the kids, that is a little bit more fair. I think that the part sometime one case, the partner who cheated wanted to come in so he could have a help to handle his wife in a way that is not so damaging, would support her because it really devastated her. And so different reasons, but I thought it was interesting couples coming for my help to divorce.
I mean, it's so functional that in some of those moments, I'm like, "Oh, they're doing so well. Why don't they stay together?" But, that's just me, the eternal optimist that couples can work at what they have as their strengths and stay together. But in the last few years, I've worked with a number of couples who have decided to get a divorce, so I'm coming around, but my overall stance is to work at what you have and hope that things can get better, because I that's what I believe.
Uh-huh, me too.
Anyways, there's so much more to say. I love having these conversations with you. So let's end here. And that's it for today. And thanks as always for joining us for the Modern Couples, What Your Therapist Never Told You. And we will see you next time.
See you next time. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye bye.